Hi, and welcome to God's Favorite Sinners. I'm Justin Hodak,
I'm Lauren Trotter.
and we are here to start our new podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
And why are we starting our new podcast?
So what we did was we came together and we decided that we wanted to do something that's all-inclusive to discuss the journey of people finding themselves. Like, since childhood, people have a tendency to be looking for something, and that can manifest in different ways of love or security or attention or self-esteem or whatever it is. But there's a path that people go through of searching, and we want to discuss what that is in an all-inclusive manner with people and each other.
Well, what makes our people different than most people?
You mean like us?
Like us, yes, correct.
Justin, what makes you so different?
What makes us
talk a little bit about
different?
who we are.
Okay, I'm Justin Hodak. You
Still,
go first.
he's still Justin Hodak, in case anyone
Justin
wondered.
Hodak, yes, and I'm shy right now.
Okay, so I'm Lauren Trotter.
Yes. Jesus, take the wheel.
Both of us have very similar and very different paths, and where we are currently in our lives are on the different spectrums of them. First of all, Justin and I have known each other for over 20 years, and we've known each other through various different stages of our lives. But for me, a little bit of background on who I am is I was raised with a lot of abuse and neglect and trauma growing up, and I learned at a really young age how to put on a smiling face, act like everything's okay, and to not talk about anything that's going on. And that followed me all the way through decades of my life. And for me, I think, you know, the searching started really young. Like, I was always searching for safety and protection and guidance and security, and those were not things that I had growing up. And so, you know, there was a point where I searched for God. There was a point where I tried to find that in people. There was a point where I tried to find that in drugs and alcohol. Fast forward my life, I have a whole history of drug abuse and alcoholism, and when I was in my late teens, I lived on the streets. I was homeless. I panhandled for money. I was strung out on heroin. I got sober for a long period of time. I kind of grew up during those years, and I got married, and I had children, and I got divorced, and I learned how to show up for a job and relationships and friendships. But one of the things that I couldn't do was really let people past this certain point, because I had so much trauma and so much stuff just in my past that, like, if I let you in too far, you could hurt me. And so it kept me from being able to have any kind of real transparent, vulnerable relationships with other humans, and even my kids and my family and everyone for that matter. And I've had quite a path. You know, I ended up later on in life coming to find God. I became a Christian 12 years ago, then kind of had my own path with that too, and coming in and out of that, and then kind of came back in a couple years ago fully. And where I am now in my life is that I have a reliance and a faith that is pretty unshakable. I am.
It's actually scary.
But I am a mother. I am a business owner. I am a friend. I am, you know, a mentor. I own a nonprofit. You know, I've been successful, and I've had all kinds of things happen in my life. And for me, the biggest thing is that it's not about where we're going or what the final destination is. It's about that path. And it's about the path that we walk, having this life experience, and what that looks like. And I think, you know, when Justin and I talked about doing this together, for me, it was really about how do we have inclusive conversations regardless of people's religion, past, present, you know, wherever they are in their life. Like, let's just discuss what that path has looked like. How did we get here? And, you know, where are we going, and what that walk looks like, no matter where you are. And so I think for me, as we go on in this podcast, I will obviously divulge more into my past, but that's kind of the high level stuff on me.
Those are the bullet points.
Your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. I'm Justin Hodak.
Still
Justin Hodak. Right. Bond. James Bond.
Hodak. Justin.
Oh, yeah, the infamous Justin Hodak. Geez. Well, I mean, growing up, you know, I mean, I suffered abuse, and, you know, I wasn't really neglectful abuse, because the abuse was very, like, direct, you know. But, I mean, I kind of shaped me into, you know, the person that I was at such a young age, right? And I think that I tried to find, you know, I tried to find escape, right? Escape, anything to kind of check out and tune out through drugs and alcohol. it was, you know, I always say that life was very Shakespearean. It was very, very tragic yet comedic at the same time, right? There was heartbreak and adventure and action and turmoil and just gut-wrenchingly sad moments, right?
He's prepping for a movie.
I am prepping. Yep. If you're watching, JustinHodak.com. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. But you know, and you know, I was in and out of prison, and I too was homeless, and I pushed a shopping cart, and you know, I never really had any clear-cut direction because I was told at a young age that I would never amount to anything, and that was kind of the core of who you know, my subconscious thinking for the longest time, and you know, I had been in recovery programs, and you know, they gave me these big lives, and you know, but I never really got to the bottom of the trauma. And I too was always seeking, but I'm not an organized religious person, right? I'm always thinking that I know that there's some things I feel that connection, whether I'm out on the ocean or it's that nirvana feeling when you feel like you know the presence of whatever it is that's out there, right? And it's like, and Lauren and I, like, you know, we've talked about it, and like she always says that I'm one of her favorites because I am, no matter what I'm doing, like I am constantly seeking. I don't know what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for peace and serenity and, you know, all those things that come along with that, but you know, I don't really know exactly what it is that I'm searching for, you know, and you know, left to my own devices through trauma that's been unhealed. I mean, I've blown my life up big, and we'll get more to that as the episodes, you know, go. Like I said, it's been very Shakespearean, right? And just and now it's all about, like, it doesn't matter, like, to me, like, I don't care, like, you know, it's all inclusive, like, all races, all colors, all creeds, all religion. Like, I think they just lead back to a divine purpose of love and peace, right? And you know, what we wanted to do was include these inclusive conversations, not debates, but inclusive conversations, like asking questions, like what is it that exactly works for you? And you know, and I respect the stories really the most of the ones that are like ours, right? Like just gnarly, dragged down. When normal people look at you, they're like, wait, you did fucking what? Like, you were where? With who? Good Lord, right? Like, and just, yep, still ticking, right? Just, so, I mean, that's kind of the basis. I mean, like, you know, Lauren always impresses me because I know Lauren and I know her background, and just the place of peace and serenity. Nope, you know, God's got it. And I'm just like, wait, what the fuck does that mean? Right? When I'm freaking out, going, oh my God, I gotta do shit. She's just like, nope, God's got it. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm like, hey man, can you call God for me? She's like, nope, you gotta calm yourself. I'm like, he always puts me on voicemail, right? Like, just,
That was our phone call yesterday. He literally called me. He was like, I need to talk to Jesus. I was like, you better pray. He's like, no, I'm calling you. He puts me on voicemail. I was like, then you better pray some more.
You better wait for him to call back. You know, Jay, he used to say, he's like, Justin, God's an old man. He moves very, very slow. Right? There's so much. I mean, I can't wait to get more into this podcast, as there's so much pearls and so many things that we've heard that, you know, original thought comes from thoughts of others that you string together to come from original thought, right? But everything is like, it's kind of like music. Like, everything is kind of like this blend of things that you've learned over the past, and I can't wait to like really share and like be like, oh yeah, wait, I got something for that, right? It's just like, you know, like and I think, you know, this journey for me is really about seeking in what it is we find. And I tell people all the time, like, you know, you take a movie like Lord of the Rings, right? Like, what's the cool part of the movie, right? Is it when he's out there, like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, he's wrapped up in a fucking spider web or he's slaying a dragon. It's not the end where he's laying in the white sheets and his friends are around and everybody's laughing. Like, that's the most boring part of the movie, right? It's like, oh my God, are these motherfuckers going to die? What's going to happen? Like, I think that's the stuff. But when we're in it, we don't see it. Like, we think we're so need to just get to this destination, right? Oh my God, if I just get there, then everything's going to be okay. And then what happens? You get there and you're fucking stagnant.
Well, and that goes back to what I was saying though. Like, I really do believe it's not about like where we're going. It's about that path of getting there.
Right.
And like, how do we be present for each moment? And I know that like from my life, and I know from your life, is that the way that I got to where I am today is by going through every single experience I've ever gone through. And like every experience that I have gone through is what allows me to now help people in a real way. You know, I've been a prostitute. I lived on the streets. I, you know, have been an employee. I've been an employer. I'm a mom. You know what I mean? Like, you end up with all these different titles throughout your life and all these different experiences. And to me, I think the purpose is to walk through those and use those to help people, and it's the way that we relate to each other. And so in the process of being honest about our past, I think that also heals the shame and the guilt and the confusion and all of the trauma, and just all of the stuff that we go through gets healed by being honest about it and discussing it, and then seeing how it benefits and how it creates who you are. Like, I know for me, I am super grateful that I am who I am in this moment right here, right now, and that the only way that I've become the woman that I am right here, right now, is by going through all the experiences that I've gone through. So like, I don't have any regret or guilt or shame or any of that stuff actually about my past. You know, I'm writing a book right now, and that's been a really interesting process to like walk through my past and like really dig into like the details and the minutia of the whole thing. And like, God had this calling on me to start this nonprofit that works with, you know, sexual healing, and I had to do a whole sex history on myself. And like, God had me go through and figure out how many people have I slept with that I remember, you know, and it was like 116 I remember. The number 140 keeps coming to me. And the thing is that I do believe that every single experience of even that has been something I had to walk through, because it's something that allows me to help other people who've had that same experience. And I'd never be able to talk to anyone without having those experiences. And Justin laughs all the time, but I say it all the time. I believe that God was with me in the crack house, the whore house, and in the church. He lives with me through all of it. And I think people have a tendency to want to wait to talk to God until their lives get to a certain place. Or they do the Hail Marys as things are falling apart and be like, oh God, help me. Right. But like, what if we can change that dynamic and have this idea that like God's with us through all of it? God is present through all of it, and that we can talk just as openly about what we're currently going through with each other, you know what I mean, as we can with him, and like have that be part of the dialogue. Right. I guess is what it, yeah.
Well, and you know, I don't want the word God to freak anybody out. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because that's, you know, that's like a, because here it comes, right? Here it comes, the G word, right? But it's like, really, like, it doesn't matter. Like, the thing is spirituality. Like, I don't know. I say the word God, but I still don't know what. It isn't a Jesus. It isn't a Virgin Mary. It isn't a, you know, the Prophet Muhammad to me, as of yet. As of yet. So it doesn't really matter where anybody's on in their journey. Like, I want, you know, we want it to be super inclusive, right? And we want to use the word we. And it's like, you know, like you were saying, it's like, you know, God, I got a 6-month God, right? Oh God, why is this happening right now? This is bullshit. God goes, shut up, stupid. I'm going to tell you in 6 months. No matter what I'm going through in that moment, if I can just sit back. Danny Marsh used to say, kid, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything. And right now you're just in the middle of it, right? Right now you're just in the middle of it. And I don't like being in the middle of it, right? That's how you try a real man's faith, right?
And here's the thing on that too, is like for me, right? Like I believe in God, and I use the word God, which I will continue to do throughout this whole thing. And you use the higher power, like whatever. And I think that's the point of this, is that I will continue to use my God to discuss it. Right. You're going to discuss what your thing is. I know that when we discuss different people coming on here, some are going to have no religion, no faith. Some will have lots, you know what I mean? And that's what I think the point of this podcast is so that we can have conversations, let everybody be exactly who they are, transparent and vulnerable at where they are in their life, and just have conversations.
That common message is.
Yeah.
That common seed.
Which is life.
Like, which is life.
Right?
Like,
it's just walking life. That's all it is.
Journey, and it's been a gnarly journey.
Yes.
It's been gnarly, right? Like, gnarly. But, you know, I think we get caught up in, like, what, you know, what we're trying to do, too, is make people feel comfortable, even with, like, because I say we, right? I know I have done some shit that I'm not necessarily proud of, right? It doesn't make me who I am today. But we get caught up in these societal norms. I mean, starting from our hierarchy of even our, the runners of this world. It's like, well, this guy touched somebody's butt back in 1874. He's a horrible person. It's like, bro, like, people change. Like, I'm not the same person I was in 84. I'm not the same person I was in 96. I'm not the same person I was in 04. Shit, I'm not even the same person I was in 17. Right? Like, you come and it's like, you can go one of two paths. You can grow from these things, or you can let these things form you of who you are and what you want your makeup to be.
And that comes to the point too of like, we're not what we've done, right? Like, my past does not define who I am. My past is experiences that I've gone through to get me to where I am. And that's different. That's a different way of looking at it. And so, it's what's this path look like for each person? What's it look like for us? What have our experiences been? And what are the experiences of all the people who are going to come and hang out with us? Which I love.
Public service announcement, Lauren Trotter, a gangster. A gangster, homie. Like, I was like, whoa, I could run with you, you know what I mean? And today, one of the best people that I know, like a mother, a friend, a good daughter. You should see the way she is with her father, right? Like, and I just know, like, in my every sense of the word, like, I get emotional thinking about it. Just a good person who's aspired and gone through all these trials and tribulations to become this person. And I just want to say that,
And Justin, the thing is about you that I always love is you're always searching. Like, it is true. Do you know what I mean? And you have made some mistakes and you have blown up your life a couple times. Pretty good. You guys will hear about it. But there's always been a humility in that, right? Like, you kind of run like kind of arrogant and kind of up here a lot, and you're really fun and outgoing and all that stuff. But there is a sensitivity to you and a vulnerability and like an honesty that is very admirable. You know what I mean? And like, you own what you do and you are always striving to grow and change. And like, I think that's the whole point of this process is like, how do we just have conversations and be transparent and be vulnerable and be honest about like, this is who I am, and this is what I'm trying to do and this is where I'm trying to go. And just have open conversations and like be in a place. I think with us, the main thing is when we do this podcast is we want to lead with like love and kindness, right? And like not have to debate or fight or argue or ever have anyone on here who feels like they need to, argue their point or any of that. It's like, let's just have conversations. Let's just hang out on the couch and see what's going on. Totally having
having a human experience. And I think that's the biggest piece, and we want to make it just inclusive for anyone. It's like, leave all that worldly shit at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Leave all that world. Now I want to know your worldly shit of how it's defined you, how it's made you grow to become a better person, right? And we're not sitting here. Well, I'm not. I can't say about you because you're like levitating on a different world right now. Like, I don't come to you as a saint or claiming to be a saint, right?
Let's be clear. I'm not trying to be a saint either.
Well, no, I don't want to say. It's your place to say. I don't want to say, Lauren's not a saint, right? Like, just like, it's my place to say that I am not a saint in any sense of the world. I'm still making mistakes constantly, right? Like, but like what I'm doing to grow from those mistakes instead of repeating those same mistakes. And I am a hard-headed motherfucker, right? Like, sometimes like I have to be beat into a state of reasonableness. My life has to blow up real big in neon lights to go, you fucked up, right? Before I'm like, oh shit, I get it now.
Well, and for a long time, pain was my greatest motivator. Like, I would run things into the ground. I mean, my journey with men and sex and all of that stuff, I mean, I ran that game as long as I could until I couldn't, you know what I mean? And for a long time, I would do things until I was in so much pain, like I couldn't do it anymore. Today, my life is not as much like that. My life is definitely more like I'd really rather not have to go through the pain. So,
right.
And I live my life, not that I don't make mistakes, because I make them all the time, but I do try to wage out the consequences of my actions and try to make choices based on that.
Of course.
But don't get me wrong, there are times when I'm all, fuck it, let's roll.
Fuck it.
You know, and that's part of my journey, though. I think that's the thing. Like, that goes back to, it's part of being a human. It's part of having this experience. It's, you know, one of those, like, just because one day, you know, I found God didn't mean that same day I became a reborn virgin who acted perfectly and like was Jesus all the time. Like, that's just not my story. And I don't think that's most people's stories, regardless of where they're at in their life. There is a journey and a growth that has to happen in people's lives. And I think it's experiences that cause that growth to happen. I mean, sure, I would love to wake up one day and just all of a sudden be a totally different human being, but that hasn't been my experience. And I think that people have a tendency to want that, right? Like, they just want to have everything change immediately and like not do this anymore, and like that just hasn't been my experience. I think there's a process of getting there, and that's part of this podcast, is being able to discuss what that process looks like for each person.
Well, what's so interesting too is when you finally like make that decision that you want it better, and you're like, pay attention to what's going on around. Like, I was watching this TikTok the other day with Denzel Washington about, you know, the devil doesn't come when you're in a shitty spot. The devil goes, no, leave that man alone. Like, you leave that man alone. But make that decision. Make that sole decision that you want to better your life, like whether it's through turning your life around and not fucking up as much, or whether maybe you want to stop drinking or stop using drugs. Watch what comes in your face, right? You know, it's like, you know, oh man, we got the bag, right? I'm just like, what the fuck? You could like lose my number, motherfucker. I'm finding Jesus. Like, leave me alone, right?
Well, or like last weekend, you called me actually, and we were talking about a chick who you're dating, for lack of a better word, and you were saying like that she was saying that you're different than all the other guys she's ever dated. But my question to that is, what's changed? Because women have a tendency, when they've ran through the ground of dating that same dude over and over again, their solution is, I just won't date that guy anymore. And so all of a sudden they're on all the swiping apps, right? And they're swiping every dude except for that dude. But that doesn't work either. It's like, what changes have been made so that you don't date that dude anymore, right? Because if you just wake up one day and you're like, I'm not dating this guy anymore, I'm going to date every opposite guy, that's not necessarily like where the change happens. I mean, it can, but that's that like Hail Mary thing of like, God help me. It's like, instead of doing the internal work to figure out what it is about me that keeps attracting that. And for me, I always live by water seeks its own level. So if you want to know how you're doing in your life, pay attention to the people who are surrounding you. That'll tell you a lot about how you're doing.
Yes, it will.
Justin's got nothing to say. He's all, yes.
Yes, I am. You know, I think it's yes, exactly. Like, but it's like it's too, right? Because like even in like relationships, right? You like what you like, right? I'm like, you know, I like you like looking a certain way, acting a certain way. I just don't need to be fucking psychotic anymore. Like, I just, please, can we leave this psychotic?
But if you're dating psychotic,
Your water seeks its own level.
it's something saying about you, and I think that's the thing, is like, how do we go back and look at it? What is it in me that is attracting this?
Correct.
And how do I heal that piece of me? And I think that's part of.
Well, no, we were talking about like relationships in the past. It's like what, like I finally got to a point where it's like one person after one person, and I don't like to talk about like exes and stuff like that. You know, they've all served their purpose. They were all, baby, I love you all, right? Shit, goddamn, made me who I was.
I don't love all of you,
Right.
but I appreciate the
I
experiences we
love
went
you
through.
all, and I wish you all the best in the world. And they know if they called me at any point in time, I would help them, with the exception of a couple that I just know that it's just. Anyways, but what I'm trying to get at is, I have a point. Let me pontificate. It's such a good word. Makes me sound smart, right?
Or arrogant.
Or arrogant. I finally had to reach to a point where it was like, I'm dating nine balls. But what then finally it's you stop blaming, right? Oh, their fucking fault, it's fucking bad, right? Just fucking, what is it about me that keeps attracting that? Staying past the expiration date, having the tolerance of that. I have to take it back to way back, right? Because it's all, if it's, what is it? If it's historical, it's hysterical, or is it the other way around? If it's hysterical, it's historical. right? And what it is about that, and like getting up to this piece, and it's like, no, I'm just like this. I just been riding around on your coattails. Take me to Jesus, right? And
Go back to praying.
right, go. Oh Lord, right? The prayers used to be different, right? Oh Lord, keep me from killing this motherfucker, right? And now it's just like, hey, like I was sharing somebody, you know, I have a prayer now. It's like I don't fight anything anymore. Like I cease fighting everything. I knock on a door 3 times. If nobody opens it, I don't kick it down anymore. And you know,
Fairly recently.
right? God,
We're work in progress, both of
Yes.
us.
God, bring into my life who's supposed to be there. Take away who's not. And even though I might not agree with it, I'm not going to go kicking and screaming anymore. That's a big part of my prayer in the night. Thank you for everything you've given. You know, the old thank you prayer, the takeaway prayer. Thank you for, it sounds so stupid, right? Like when they used to tell you back in the day, like, this is the dumbest shit. Thank you for what you've given me. And thank you for what you've taken away. I'd rather eat
But that's my daily prayer.
That's like legit. And that's like how you live your life. And I'm just like, fucking Lauren, like she's just got this peacefulness and this grace. Like if she just raised her wings, like she would soar. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like some of us are grounded in fucking reality.
Or worldly things.
Or worldly bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So, you know. But I think that this is going to be fun, you know, and I think, you know, we're going to bring on some very interesting guests for you guys.
We are going to have a plethora of interesting
Plethora.
people with different stories and different pasts, and I think that's the cool thing, is we'll just be able to like sit here and have conversations and see what people's path has been like.
Us.
Let's discuss it. Some might not. I got some people who may not love Justin. Keep tuned. He'll be fascinating. Everybody likes me on the other hand. Just kidding.
Don't worry, I grow on people.
But I think it's great. This will be an experience for us to all walk through and just talk about the human experience and what that's like. So we look forward to having you guys check us out every week.
Every week.
Bye.